I will be describing the types of energy used worldwide and how they are generated for fuels and energy that we use. First, let's describe the distinction between renewable and non-renewable energy. Renewable energy can be replenished over a short period of time, and it isn't limited. Examples include wind, biomass, fish, animals, solar, etc. On the other hand, non-renewable energy is limited and it can run out if humans keep using it at this pace. This includes coal, natural gas, and oil. Perpetual energy is a type of renewable energy. However, perpetual energy are resources capable of existing forever, and they are unlimited. They cannot be exhausted regardless of their rate. While the total energy available from perpetual resources is enormous, it is a challenge to transform this energy into energy that can be used to mankind. This use perpetual resources requires investments, and the rate of return those investments are the most effective. Another factor that influences the investment in the use of the perpetual resources is the rate of return of investments in other energy resources. Examples include geothermal energy, tidal energy, wind energy, and solar energy. Now let's explain the types of non-renewable sources of energy. The first one is petroleum, that is extracted to make oil, gasoline, kerosene, and other types of oil. It is usually distinct as oil, which is used for energy. So let's talk about petroleum. Petroleum is a liquid of mixture of hydrocarbons that is present in certain rock strata. It can be extracted and refined to produce fuels, as I said before. Oil is extracted from this, and there is not a lot of this left on Earth, only having a 50-year supply. This fuel is usually used to generate cars and run cars or heat houses. The next source of energy is coal, and coal is a combustible black or brownish black sedimentary rock with a high amount of carbon that has developed millions of years ago underground, and it is classified as non-renewable energy because it takes millions of years to form. There is only limited supply on Earth. Coal contains the energy stored by plants that lived hundreds of million years ago in swampy forests and is currently the world's largest source of fuel to produce electricity. It is used for fuel, mostly for heating, a source of electricity. It is extracted by mining deep within the earth. Over here is an example of coal. Another source of non-renewable energy is natural gas, which is found within dense rock shalings and within rocks that have been used as an energy source. Natural gas occurs beneath the Earth's surface and consists mainly of methane, a compound with one carbon atom and four hydrogen atoms. Hydrofracking is used to collect natural gas to fracture rocks. To release natural gas, use high pressure of water. However, some natural gas flows from wells under its own pressure. It is used as a heating fuel and to produce products such as glass, paints, medicines, and explosives. As you can see over here, these are places where natural gas can be formed. It can flow through its own pressure in wells. However, hydrofracking is used in some cases where it's stuck deep in the earth inside rocks. You may have thought non-renewable energy was mainly consisted of only fossil fuels, but what runs nuclear energy is the splitting or joining of atoms in uranium, a non-renewable source. Nuclear energy occurs from the nuclear fission or fusion of atoms to create energy or heat, specifically nuclear fission, as you can see in this picture. It is used to produce steam, which then produces electricity. However, it needs to be closed and safe within a power plant because radioactive material is harmful with humans. When the uranium is done with, it needs to be stored underground perpetually, or it needs to be converted into harmless substances so it won't be able to be radioactive in the environment. The use of nuclear energy as a source for producing electricity in the United States started during the 1960s and increased rapidly until the late 1980s. Reasons for its decline included cost overruns, higher than expected operating costs, safety issues, disposal of nuclear waste, and its perception as a risky investment. As you can see in this nuclear power plant, the uranium is used in control rods, which is then used as heat to run a turbine. This turbine was run by the steam that was created. The running turbine then generates electricity, which is then going to a plant so it can be used. Also, the thermal energy that is created needs to be cooled by cooling water because there is thermal pollution related to this. Now let's go to renewable energy sources. Biomass is a type of renewable energy and it is an organic matter used as fuel, especially in a power station for the generation of electricity. It is carbon-based and is biologically derived fuel used for wood, manure, charcoal, or used as a biofuel. It can be used for building material or as fueling to heat houses or other things. It has a low to moderate net energy yield and is renewable as long as used sustainably. As you can see over here, wood is a sustainable energy source or biomass that is generated as carbon from the ground. Another source of renewable energy is animals or fish, which is a type of animal. They are born and they are harvested by us humans, and then they can be used for advantages such as a food source or energy, for energy for humans to eat, so we can get energy from it. Another type of renewable energy are hydrogen fuel cells. Hydrogen fuel cells uses hydrogen in order to create electrical energy, and the waste project is pure water. It operates similar to a battery and it never runs out. Most of the hydrogen is used by industry for refining, treating metals, and processing food. Although they never run out, hydrogen first needs to be obtained that requires lots of energy to drive. It is regarded as inefficient sometimes. Hydrogen can be produced from diverse domestic resources. Currently, most hydrogen is produced from fossil fuels, specifically natural gas, electricity from the grid, or from renewable resources such as wind, solar, geothermal, and biomass. It is also currently used to produce hydrogen. In the longer term, solar energy and biomass can be used more directly to generate hydrogen. Hydrogen is a special case. It can be created from perpetual energy sources, but it isn't qualified as perpetual because it is in a fuel cell and it is eventually exhaustible and not running all the time, since hydrogen is a limited supply on Earth. Now let's be a bit more specific. Let's talk about perpetual energy sources. Solar energy is the first perpetual energy source, or one of the perpetual energy sources, and it consists of collecting and harnessing radiant energy from the sun to provide heat and electricity. Electrical power and heat can be generated at home and industrial sites through voltaic cells, as you can see here, and solar collectors, which derive the sun's energy and converts it into electrical energy, so it can be used. It's still relatively expensive to produce electricity from solar power, but the amount of solar electricity is growing really fast. The next type of perpetual energy, which type of renewable energy, is wind, which is a form of perpetual energy that is all possible by sunlight and heat, which triggers the movement of wind. Wind turns giant turbine blades that then powers generators. Wind isn't the most cost effective because of the low reliability, but in areas with lots of wind can be efficient sometimes. The wind that exists because of the sun's energy heat different regions in different ways. It doesn't decrease when used. With the use of wind turbines, the wind can be used to produce electricity. Wind power to produce electricity is used more than solar power. In the U.S., electric power coming from wind accounts for 4.44% of total electrical energy. Turbines grouped in clusters are called wind farms, as you can see here. Another source of renewable energy, specifically perpetual resources, is geothermal energy, and it is heat contained in underground rocks and fluids from molten rock, specifically magma, hot dry rock zones, and warm rock reservoirs that produce pockets of underground dry steam used to run turbines, which then runs to generate electricity. It is derived from the natural heat of the earth. In the U.S., geothermal energy accounts for 0.41% of total electrical energy. As you can see in this picture over here, heat under earth is used to heat homes and other things. In certain spots, hot water or streams are near the surface and can be piped for its direct use because the heat can be used directly in some cases, or the steam can be used to power turbines, as I said before. Hydropower is the generation of power through the movement of water by the creation of dams to collect and harness energy from water. Dams are used to trap water in which it runs a turbine to generate electricity. It is carbon-free and continuously available as it is a form of renewable energy with a relatively high EROEI, which is energy return over energy investment, of 100 to 1 in some cases. Creating a reservoir from a dam creates moving water and also recreational areas such as swimming, fishing, and canoeing for energy and economic development in areas with zero carbon emission. Tides and waves are an example of hydropower. To go more specific with tides and waves, the last source of perpetual energy, which is renewable energy, as I will explain here, is tidal, is tides and waves. Using the natural movement of tides and waves to spin turbines and generate electricity is another source of renewable energy. Waves are usually generated by wind energy, and tides are generated by the rise and fall of sea levels due to the gravitational pull of the moon and sun. The technology to harness this source of energy is still under development. These technologies have limited adoption and are still uneconomical in most countries, but may have the potential for development in some places. Waves are generated mainly by wind energy, which is in turn a perpetual resource. Waves contain mechanical energy that can be used to produce electrical energy. All in all, tides and waves are useful sources of renewable energy that can run turbines to generate electricity. This is the end of my presentation explaining all the major sources of energy generation, including perpetual, non-renewable, and renewable. Thank you.